How's it going, everyone? Justin here with MyManJustin's Collectible Emporium, and I'm your man for Pokemon cards, card analysis, and Pokemon investment consulting. Today, I just wanted to do a video about the current state of the media environment and how we can understand it in the way that we see the rise and increase of interest in Pokemon and the way the Pokemon market has been expanding and allowing other people to get involved in it and just overall having a really beneficial impact on the Pokemon market and the markets in general. And I want to talk about this in context of the lens in how we understand the media and a decentralized environment versus a centralized environment. And the way I'm going to talk about this is through a research paper that I got while I was at UC Berkeley. One of the really nice things about UC Berkeley and being able to attend that university is that the one thing it's really known for and it's really good for is their research. It really is primarily a research institution. It's probably one of the top research institutions in the world, specifically as a research institution. And I was looking at a paper because I was able to save all of my academic journals that I got from all my classes. I saved them on, PDFs to a file on my computer, so I have access to them now. And I was looking at this one paper from Yochai Benkler, who is a professor of entrepreneurial and legal studies at Harvard. So it's a Harvard paper, so you're going to get to hear some of the top research in the world from the top research universities. Again, that was one of the really nice things that we had access to while at Berkeley, is access to the top research papers from the top institutions. So what this paper talks about, it's called Capital, Power, and the Next Step in Decentralization. So basically, it first goes on to talk about the core attribute of the networked environment, and they refer to our current environment as ICTs, or interconnected communication technologies. And this person is referring to the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the Instagram, all of these media technologies that allow us to be interconnected, on demand, share content from individual decentralized sources, not from one source disseminating to everyone, but a bunch of different nodes communicating with each other back and forth to different people. So this is what they call the interconnected communication technologies. So basically, she says that the core attribute of this network information environment has been the radical decentralization of the capital structure of information, knowledge, and cultural production. So what this means is that she's saying basically at one point it was centered in the hands of a few, but through the affordance of these technologies, it was able to be disseminated to more than just a few. The old, what they call gatekeepers, kind of lost their control over who got information, when it was disseminated, and people started using this technology for their own benefit. Then she goes on to talk specifically about the computational and technological aspect, and she says that communication, storage, sensing, and capture devices are now widely distributed in the population. These, in turn, enable the effective deployment of the other core inputs into the global information economy: human creativity, wisdom, insight, and perspective. So here, she's talking about how a new market was essentially created. And that's kind of what we're in the middle of right now. We have this new market of people that they interact with all this new technology and their own individual unique talents and wisdom and ideas can be used to create their kind of own niche markets amongst themselves. And it creates all these new ideas. And then when people are creating new ideas and markets, people that can engage with these markets because they capture their interest and all that. So there's just a wider array of opportunities and ideas in different ways for people to engage with this market. And this is kind of what they're talking about the decentralized environment that we're currently in, because naturally, I would say we're kind of almost reverting this technology, this new technology, this new media age that we're in right now, I would say is actually taking us back to a more natural state of how it would have been before the past age of media, which kind of collected all of the information and sources into centralized sources, with the past media age, like with the television and so forth, that is really run by, there's actually 6 corporations that own the mainstream media. So this new age is coming, it's kind of breaking that up, right? So I would say it's kind of bringing us back into a more natural state, because naturally we are individual, we are decentralized, without an outside technology introduced into the society that can create a different kind of power structure in the society. We're naturally just a bunch of individual peoples in nodes working with each other, and we have this freedom to kind of move about and choose and use ideas, and there's like no barriers to create markets and engage with other markets. But through regulation and centralized power structures, that kind of disseminates. And what this is, I think, doing is bringing that back. Then she goes on to say, many of the most interesting phenomena we have observed over the past decade plus in production, socialization, and politics have owed from the basic change in the capital structure of information production. So she's really attributing this to the availability of information, and that's one of the key attributes of this new social media ICT environment, is that new ideas and opportunities are coming into play that at one time in the past weren't available. They were just everything was sanctioned off, and there was more barriers in place. And the way that we have access to more and new information kind of breaks this up. One of the examples that the writer gave is that at one time, fishermen were able to call ahead and negotiate the price of fish before they pulled into port so as to capture greater returns for their families. And the way that I can see this in the Pokémon environment, for example, is that we have now at our fingertips this access to information as far as the Pokémon market. And now we know that when we go into a store and we see a tin of Hidden Fates or a box of Hidden Fates, we know that we can just straight up buy that or buy them all up because there is an inflated price in that current set right now. And that's because we have not only access to the information that these are more in demand right now, but we also have the technology and access to profit off it. So we have the information that says to buy it, and then we also have a platform to be able to sell it off. And there's several platforms: Facebook Market, eBay, your own PayPal store. There's many ways, Let Go, and all these different platforms that allow us to also sell the product as well and gain monetary capital through the technology as well as the informational aspect of it. So basically, I think to sum this up, I think what happened is in the past 100 years, technology developed so rapidly and so fast and was available to so many people that the technology actually overpowered the past power structure. So if you think of it like this, in the past, people were more passive acquiescers of technology and information. They didn't have a way to interact with it and then utilize it for themselves. And then, so basically this was done through, we had gatekeepers and we had these mainstream institutions. And with this new technology and ICTs, people became able to start proactively using technology. And that's what she was talking about, using wisdom, creativity, and all these other things to engage in markets and create markets. And you can think of this like with YouTube. So these famous YouTubers now, people that are all getting famous with YouTube and making a living off of it, didn't have this market available to them before that, because before that there was very few mainstream sources. They acted as gatekeepers. Basically, they had specific ways that they wanted to disseminate information. They had specific narratives. They had specific things they wanted to focus on, and they could only kind of adopt you and embrace you into that current structure. But what happened with YouTube is people just said, hey, we're going to start making our own niche content. We're going to make our own narratives and give our own ideas and use our own creativity. So what happened is maybe at one point in time you had 1 million people listening to the mainstream media, right? Well, when this new, for example, YouTube came in and people started creating their own kind of news outlet platforms, it shifted, right? So maybe you have, like, instead of 1 million in the mainstream viewing the mainstream, you get 500,000, and then you have 10,000 listening to this guy on YouTube, and 5,000 listening to this one, and only 2,000 on this one, and 1,000 on this one, and 50,000 on that one. And when you break it up like that, this whole, they no longer have this chokehold monopoly on media technology and information dissemination and the ability to use it to gain monetary capital through the technology. You have all these new people just kind of coming in and saying, hey, I'm gonna make my own thing. And that, of course, new media technologies, as I've said in the past, always precede types of revolutions. So the old power structure that had a kind of a chokehold and acted as gatekeepers on media technology, of course, are going to be threatened by this, because if they have half the viewers and half the engagement that they had at a prior time, because 1 million new people now have the attention and engagement of that other 500,000, spread out between all of them. It's not like now it's 500,000 on YouTube, and then 500,000 in the mainstream, then 500,000 on one other YouTube. That 500,000 with the YouTube audience is spread out through a ton of people. Like I said, you can have 3,000, and then 1,000, and then 30,000, and then 100,000, and then 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So it can be very decent, and that's what decentralization is all about. So when you think of it like that, that's how we can understand, I think, the rise in just an example in the market that I'm engaged with, which is the Pokémon market. It's a very niche market, but with the opening up of markets and the use of media technologies and social media platforms, like eBay, by the way, would be considered another social media platform technology that allows people to have access to all these cards from around the world, from around the United States, and then YouTube as well, another way to create content and ideas that have to do with the Pokemon market or media and the market in general. So that's what I just wanted to share with you all. I just did some reading in my own academic journals, and just wanted to share it with you as a way to think about the new the current state of the Pokemon market, how it's become, how it's been growing so rapidly, and all the different channels that have been capitalizing on the Pokemon niche content, whether it's pack openings or whether it's just other types of Pokemon media and content. It's opening up a lot of new avenues and a lot of new markets, and that in turn just creates more interest and more engagement in Pokemon itself, and it's good really for everyone. It's good for the Pokemon company, it's good for people like me, it's good for eBay, and it's just an overall good thing. And it all has to do with this idea of decentralization, which was the focus of this research paper, and the idea that I was just trying to bring out, that I've talked about in the past, the idea of new media technologies creating revolutions, drastic changes within culture, and that leading to more decentralized cultures, which in turn create just more opportunities, more freedom, more ideas, and more opportunities for individuals to become part of that, to say, hey, well, where am I going to, I want a piece of this. I want to get my own niche market in this too. And that's what's so great, is that it's so open and available for that, for so many people right now. And that's another kind of idea that I just wanted to put forth. So I hope you enjoyed that and learned something good. I'll be doing more videos about this. I'm going to do some more reading of my own academic journals, and I'll find ones that have to do with kind of Pokemon and social media and things of that nature that go in part and parcel with the content of my channel. So thanks again, and I will see you on the next broadcast.